4 years ago, I booked an Airbnb for my holiday stay with family during Christmas week. The place was just a short distance away, and when I arrived on December 20th, everything appeared as I had expected. It was an ordinary house in a regular neighborhood. I arrived around 6 p.m., but opted to stay in for the night, feeling the need for a good rest. I relaxed, watched TV, and managed to get some work done before hitting the bed shortly before 10 p.m. In the middle of the night, I stirred awake to faint noises downstairs. Half asleep, I heard subtle thumping against the walls within the house. Oddly, I wasn't particularly worried. I assumed it was the house settling. I fell asleep again without dwelling on it, and didn't recall waking up again until morning. Those nighttime noises slipped my mind as I went about my day. I informed my family of my arrival in town, and plans were made for dinner at their place. Spending the morning and afternoon relaxing at the Airbnb, I eventually readied myself to leave. As I reached for the front door, it swung open to reveal a man standing on the porch, catching me entirely off guard. I asked if I could help him, but he remained silent, nodding before walking away. His unexpected presence left me unsettled. Why was he there without announcing himself? I made sure the house was secure and proceeded to my family's dinner. While the evening was enjoyable, thoughts of the stranger lingered. I couldn't shake the worry about my belongings at the Airbnb. Leaving the gathering around 9 p.m., I returned to the Airbnb, scanning for signs of intrusion but finding none. Upon entering, a loud thump echoed through the house akin to the previous night's noises but intensified. Investigating, I was startled by another thud from a nearby door. It jolted me, followed by the sound of heavy breathing from the other side. My instinct was to flee. I bolted for my car, dialed 911, and awaited the authorities. When the police arrived, they investigated and disclosed a chilling truth. Someone had tried to break into the garage connected to the house through an unlocked side door. I had never considered using the garage and was oblivious to this potential entry point. I couldn't confirm if the man on the porch was the same person attempting to break in, but the idea of someone lurking beneath me while I slept was terrifying. I relocated to a hotel for the remainder of the week, haunted by the unanswered questions surrounding that harrowing incident, even after 4 years. A few weeks back, I embarked on a trip where I rented a townhouse through Airbnb. This quaint town was close to trails ideal for hiking, a place I'd never visited before. After a 9-hour drive, I arrived late at the townhouse, nestled on a street with similar townhouses. The exterior appeared as expected, nothing exceptionally new. Without a passcode for entry, I messaged the owner upon arrival. Soon, a smiling man, presumably the Airbnb host, appeared, ushering me inside before quickly departing to the neighboring property. I settled in, arranged my belongings, and retired for the night. The following day, I set out for a trail, returning by 7 p.m. Entering the townhouse, a sense of something amiss tingled within me. Items in my room seemed slightly rearranged, giving rise to an unsettling feeling. Despite my unease, I couldn't definitively prove anyone had been inside during my absence. I shrugged it off, attributing it to my nervousness about the unfamiliar surroundings. That evening, I dined while watching YouTube, retiring to bed at 11 p.m. Adjusting to a ground-level bedroom proved a challenge. While lying awake, I heard a faint creak from across the house, signaling the deliberate opening of a door. It startled me, prompting a vigilant gaze towards my own closed bedroom door. Observing the faint porch-light glow from the partially ajar front door, I secured mine, quietly contacting the police. Mid-call, a chilling realization hit. A lurking figure stood outside my room. I paused, resuming the call once they departed. Upon the authorities' arrival, evidence of intrusion was apparent. A clear sign someone had been inside. Despite suspicions about the Airbnb host, the lack of concrete proof or a struggle at the front door cast doubt on the perpetrator's identity. No items were missing, suggesting they targeted the house while I was present. The unsettling incident lingers in my mind, leaving me wondering about their intentions and whether they're still out there. Last New Year's, My two closest friends and I opted for a quiet night in, deciding to rent a house rather than attend a big party. Being dorm dwellers, having a house to ourselves sounded like a fantastic plan for some relaxed bonding time. Jason, one of my friends, booked an Airbnb cabin on the town's outskirts, and Christian and I joined him on New Year's Eve around noon. The place had a cabin-like vibe, all wood and rustic features, situated among similar cabins with ample space between them. While the interior wasn't top-notch, it suited our budget. We spent the day lounging in the living room chatting, and around 6 p.m., Christian went out to grab snacks and drinks. During his absence, Jason and I were startled by a knock on the door, an unexpected occurrence given the remote location. Peering through the peephole, I saw a man standing on the doorstep. Not accustomed to answering the door to strangers in someone else's house, I cautiously engaged through the partially opened door. He appeared displeased and seemed irate, sternly advising us to keep the noise down, as if we had already been causing a disturbance. We hadn't made any commotion, and the distance between houses made it improbable for him to hear anything, unless we were setting off fireworks. Not inclined to argue, I agreed, closing the door, but he banged on it again seconds later. Ignoring him, we discussed the odd encounter when Christian returned. He was skeptical until, nearing midnight, a noise outside grabbed our attention. Glass shattered by Christian's car, with the man from earlier wielding a baseball bat in a frenzied state. In a flash, Christian charged outside and Jason and I rushed to intervene, but a gunshot froze me in place. Miraculously, Christian dashed back inside, locking the door behind him as shots hit the cabin's side. The man then pounded the front door with his bat before abruptly fleeing. An investigation revealed he wasn't an Airbnb neighbor, leaving us mystified about his identity and motives. It was a harrowing and unpredictable ordeal that could have cost us our lives.